So health, nutrition, and well-being is something that I'm very interested. So that's another thing that I'm doing also. So if someone is interested in that, you can definitely contact me.
Great, thank you so much. And
My
Marcia?
pleasure.
Do we have Marcia online, or I'm seeing autopilot, so I'm not sure what that means. So let's go to Jamil.
Hello, are we just introducing ourselves?
Yes, we are.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jamil. I'm a customs broker in New York. I help people with importing and exporting by clearing their goods with customs. So things I clear, such as people traveling with their pets, I clear dogs, cats, rabbits, clothes, food, motorcycles, pretty much anything. So if you guys need assistance, you can contact me at justyourbroker.com. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Jamil. And I guess leading off from where Jamil left off, we could all put our contact information in the chat so we could, follow up if we need anything. So I will introduce myself and then I'll put you on to Dr. Delba. I am Maxine Atong. I've been in the chamber, I think since April, so a few months as well. I haven't made a year yet. And I am a leadership executive coach, as well as interested in leadership development. I work a lot with Gestalt psychology as my frame. So very much in terms of leading people to awareness, because when we're aware, magic happens. Special interest in women, because I'm a woman, first point. And I've worked in corporate, leading teams in finance, because I'm an accountant as well, and leading teams in strategy, as well as operations as a chief executive officer. Not chief executive officer, sorry, chief operating officer. I've been running my own company off and on for the last 20 years, really committed to it in the last since 2017. And I say, on and off, because even though I was fully employed, I always had a business on the side, making sure that I get my hours in for coaching or my hours in for facilitation. So lots of, it's what I enjoy, really moving from accounting into this world has been a source of joy for me. After a while, even though I love accounting and love playing with the numbers, I shouldn't say that as an accountant, but playing with the numbers, it just stopped making my heart sing. I really realized that I wanted to work more with people than with things and help people analyze numbers more than just have numbers for the sake of making a profit. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. And I'm really happy to host this roundtable this morning with my co-host, Dr. Delba.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to see you all today. And so as dear Maxine mentioned, my name is Delba. So I have my PhD in clinical psychology. And amazingly, I'm also a coach, but a different approach. I think what I do is that I design behavior indicators to measure change and success. And one of the expertise that I have that I usually talk about it's my accountability intelligence tool that recently I have designed. It's a science-based. For almost 5 years, I've been working on that project, working with over 500, 600 companies and to come up with a measurement tool. Because at the end of the day, everyone wants to measure their own change in success, either as a coach, as a leader, as a project manager, as a co-founder, to maximize and actually sometimes to ensure the ROI, to optimize that. So that's my heart. And I realize that to measure behavior changes, it's inevitable. And sometimes people have challenged with it. I thought it's for me to solve that challenge. And I'm so excited to be here, to talk about your skill set and see what is it we can do from now on to make things more easier and facilitate the process. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Maxine. Amazing.
Thank you, Dr. Delba. So we are going to be co-hosting this, and we decided yesterday that we'll probably do something a little bit different. We really want to hear from you and for you to share your experiences as we will share ours. Everybody sitting in their chair is a leader, whether you work with clients, working to help clients bring things into the country, working with them to help them, with their strategies around AI, helping them in terms of their leading and development and working with their teams. We all have experiences and we're all women. We have that in common. So we really wanted to sort of co-create this experience with you, really where you are sharing from your heart and your head and your soul in terms of what you've experienced, what you have, what you have learned, and what you can share with all of us. So we sort of put together a few questions, and we want to open up the discussion to you, the participants, because we really want to respect your leadership, your experience, and the fact that you have walked this path. So Anita, you joined us. So just you could introduce yourself to all of us before we jump into our discussions today.
Okay. Good morning. Sorry about jumping in late. Anita Rodal, president of SBPI Services. I represent two of the world's largest non-bank foreign exchange companies. They save their import and transnational clients money and time when sending and receiving cross-border payments. I'm also a corporate trainer. My About Your Elevator Pitch webinars and workbook are for business professionals who do B2B networking like all of us. And I also offer pronunciation coaching privately for foreigners looking to reduce their accents when speaking American English. Anita Rodal, SVPI Services.
Thank you, Anita. So we want to just encourage everyone to remember, drop your information in the chat so that we could keep in touch with each other. And of course, that's the purpose of being here networking. So let's jump into it. So when you think about your leadership, what unique perspectives do you bring as a female leader to the organizations that you have worked in or that you serve? What are those unique perspectives? And that's a question for anybody to jump in, and we'll build on it together.
Okay. I don't usually do things in large groups of people, but when I have, she said that, everything I do is unique because I'm different from everybody else. Everyone else is different from me. It's usually about the goals, making sure that they are what everybody is interested in achieving. When I have been in leadership positions, it's usually for nonprofits. So it's about achieving goals and how we can do that. But other than that, I try to not put myself in leadership positions because I am more of a loner, not because I like doing things by myself. So I'm not the best person to talk on that. That's why I jumped in first to get it over.
Thank you for that. And so thanks for sharing that. So not necessarily wanting to be in front, but definitely it sounds like with the work that you do, really working from behind, helping people shape and achieve their realities, what they want to achieve.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's also for animal rescue. So it tends to be very individualized.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Anyone else wants to share from their perspective? How has their being a woman helped them with their perspectives for their leadership?
Yeah, I can go next. I was director, so leader in 4 different industries in Europe and in the US. By the way, I'm connecting from Barcelona, Spain. I forgot to mention that before. And one of the things that really helped me when I was in a leadership position was to make people feel comfortable. I don't have like 2 faces. I am very connected, like, my intelligence, if you wish, and my knowledge and my abilities with my heart, my empathy. That's why I love emotional intelligence. Being empathic is very positive. Trying to not judge people but ask more questions. Probably that's why in the end I became a coach, because asking the right questions before you jump into conclusions. I always helped people get along. One of the most difficult things is to have a team that has cohesion. No, they're like aligned. Important to understand and see people for who they are individually first, and then as a team. So when I have, or I used to have, now I do it as a facilitator, right? I'm also a leadership facilitator. So when I am with a team, especially if we are doing it online, which is happening, in person, which is now happening more often, I also like to lead my class, if you will, in a way, almost as a leader. That's this way to demonstrate students that very often are managers or directors how to do that themselves. is by individually speaking to people, listening to them, and understanding what's their purpose. So again, back to when I was a leader, one of the things that really helped me is to really, especially, I would be hired in a company with people who were already there, my team, my new team. I was the new director. So one of the first things I like to do was either, get in touch with HR. I wanted to see their CVs and have a one-on-one briefly of a coffee or lunch or whatever was, like, sometimes depending of the profile, maybe lunch is not something you do with everyone, but you know where I'm getting from, to really get to know the person, what they did before, because very often the issue with employees or young managers is that they have knowledge, experience, and abilities from other past jobs, and then they come here, they have a title, and it's almost like they're only seen for what they're doing now, but they are a lot more. They are a whole person with all this experience and knowledge from before. And one of the things that I like to do is, if there was like one of those, projects, like a company project that I needed maybe to come up with 4, 5, 6 people, knowing people from different areas, I could actually pick those people or ask if they were interested, because then they can actually, use all that knowledge to do a different project than what they do day to day, always doing the same things with the same people. And then lastly, the purpose. I think we also mentioned that last time we met. It is important. People need to understand that what they're doing is valuable, not just the salary they get, but my job it's valuable for someone. Even if you're not in contact with an end client, you probably are in contact for sure. Your job has an impact maybe in an internal client. And this impact, when people don't understand that there is an impact in what they do, they also tend to be demotivated. So that purpose, understanding what, when you have a purpose, and we're all the same in that way. In the morning when you wake up, you're like excited because you know why you are doing what you're doing and the impact on people, society, any stakeholder. And then in terms of working as a team, again, I would love to listen to people first before giving my opinion, because sometimes if things are fine, then why change them? And if not, ask questions. I never, ever, ever imposed myself, except if the company said, this is what we have to do. And then I always explained the reason why. Or if they were expecting something and it couldn't be that way, I would be, we were all expecting this. In the end, it's not possible. This is the reason why, whatever I was able to explain. Because it's almost like a mother and the children. If children don't understand the reason of a decision that may be unpopular, they may be demotivated, not like it. So anyway, I could go on for a long time, because it is true that there are a lot of different things that one can do. But that summarizes a little bit the style that helped me when I was a director.
Okay, thank you so much. So it sounds very purpose-driven and very much around collaboration and really recognition that we are whole people. What we are asked to do at work is really just one little bit of all of our skills, all of our experiences, and all that we have to bring to bear. Jamil, you wanted to share?
Yes. So in reference to women, I think one of the things that we're best good at is time management. Like even with my daughter, just balancing my schedule, putting everything in my calendar. I think I'm able to manage my business pretty well just because I learned how to master balancing my time.
Yeah, so that skill set, bringing from the personal life into the business world, being able to juggle many things as you would have to as a mom, definitely. And I want to recognize that someone else joined us. I think.
Yeah, it was Monica, but I don't see it here.
But she dropped off. Yeah. Okay. So when she comes back on, anybody else before we turn this question over to, I will answer and then we'll turn back to Dr. Delba. So anybody else who wants to go before I do?
Sure, I can add a little bit from my perspective. So working in the AI field, it's obviously mostly male driven, as you could imagine, right? So I, primarily back when I was working in a financial institution, I was typically the only woman in the room, right? It's a lot of, with working with a lot of men, they tend to do things in certain ways. And I was sort of the only sort of female voice in there. But leaning into Susanna, what you mentioned, that empathetic voice, I was sort of able to provide that perspective in a lot of those conversations. And especially working as a technical team, working with the business side, having that empathy and being able to lean in and understanding from a business perspective, like the reasons why some of their pain points and some of the reasons why they push back maybe on some of the technical decisions we were making. That I found that to be very successful for me in my my previous roles, for sure, having that sort of empathetic lens leading with that in most conversations from a very male dominated field, for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much. And really being able to tap into, I guess, who you are and what you do naturally to bring it to bear. And so, I mean, I've worked mainly in oil and gas and insurance, which is male dominated. And it's been an interesting experience to look at female leaders over the span of the time that I've been working. It seemed that previous female leaders, a lot of them would have donned pants literally, put on male suits literally in terms of their behavior, in terms of their style. And it's been interesting. I've found that there has been an evolution. And the evolution is twofold in terms of, one, now with emotional intelligence, the word empathy is being held as a possibility for leadership for both males and females. And I think that whole movement has allowed women to really shine in a different way, because it's sort of like who we naturally were told, you can't bring this to the office. And now that it's open and everything, a leader must have empathy, must show emotional intelligence. And so it's really easier, a lot easier now for us to show up as ourselves, as who we are, and really step into our unique form of leadership, because a space has been created. And the space has been backed by research and neuroscience and all the wonderful things that really say this is a better way of leading. And it's almost for us a natural way of leading. Without labeling and without stereotypes, it's who we are. Dr. Delba, let's hear you, and then I know you have some questions for us as well.
Yeah. I just wanted to add something, as Anita was mentioning, that I do in the one-to-one, probably the businesses that she has, or the interpersonal skills that she has, or the world that she's dealing with. And she's not covering a team in order to be a leader. So I just wanted to say the definition of leader is not necessarily based on position, like labeling. I always talk about leadership for non-leaders, because you don't need to necessarily be a leader in order to lead. It's all about you influencing and creating impact and be a part of a success story of someone else's life, which you are definitely, Anita. I know that for sure. And every one of us are. And I think one of the topics that comes to my mind along with leadership, it's how do you hold yourself accountable? It's one of the challenging questions, and one of the thoughts that after pandemic, even before, I believe, but after pandemic, it became very much crucial. The VUCA environment, the uncertainty, the ambiguity, and on top of everything, whatever we're going through, it's like the icing on top of the cake. That how are we going to hold ourselves accountable in uncertainty or even in hard times? What are your thoughts as a leader, as an individual, as a co-founder, as a business person? Yeah. What do you think?
So when you say hold yourself accountable, you mean just if you decide you're going to do something, are you going to get it done? If not, what are you going to do about not getting it done, etc.?
Yeah.
Releasing.
Mm.
Well, I personally am less organized in that realm than I should be. However, I have a very loud conscience. So, when I need to get things done, eventually they do get done if they need to be done. And that's half of deciding what needs to get done, is what really needs to get done here. What's busy work? What can you live without? But I find that not necessarily that it's procrastinating, but I have this, like, things are constantly percolating in my head. Like, I'll write them down, what I intend to do. And usually that's business oriented. But if it happens later than I had originally wanted it to, it usually comes out better than I thought it would, because I've been working on it the whole time. I'm consciously aware I'm adding to it. And when the final product comes out, it's a lot closer to what, or a lot better than I thought it would be initially.
So then how would you articulate your approach to accountability? What is it you did?
I beat myself up if I don't get things done. But then I always say, you know what? It's going to be what it's going to be, and it's going to be better than I thought, because this happens time and time again. But I'm kind of like a let's do it now kind of person, but you can't do everything now. And so that's, that's why I've learned to like let things, if I don't get to something when I wanted to get to it, I say, you know what, it is as it should be. And it will, I will make it happen because it's my thought, it's my idea. If I don't make it happen, then it's on me, but I'm not accountable to anybody else but myself for most of this stuff. If it regards a client or anything else, it goes to the top of the list. If I say I'll show up, I'll show up. If I'm going to do something, I do it. But for my own things that I create, I'm a little harder on myself.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing, Anita. That's amazing, at least for you to know the difference between how you hold yourself accountable and how you hold others accountable based on the responsibilities and what you need to do. And yes, sometimes we are hard on ourselves. As long as I really appreciate how you pointed out, you have a purpose. I need to know what is it I need to do, and how big that is, or how passionate I am about that one thing. That would be a drive for me to start doing some actions. Thank you for sharing. Who else?
Yeah, I'd say I definitely lead by passion, I would say, to get things done. There's something I'll wake up and be super passionate about, and it just fuels me to get up every day and kind of continue to chip away at it. But I definitely run into those hurdles. It's, only so many hours in the day. I set really tough goals for myself too, to kind of keep me making progress and keep me moving forward. That's sort of my project management, I guess, background a little bit, making sure I'm keeping on task. But if I do, miss a deadline, if I set a really tough goal for myself and I don't meet it, I definitely still keep that compassion to myself and say, like, you know what, it's okay. Like, the world's not gonna catch on fire if I'm a couple days late on this thing, So I definitely, I lead with passion for sure, but then kind of follow up with compassion if it doesn't go according to plan.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, at least for two of us, and we will definitely hear from the rest, that we are most of the times hard on ourselves. So it sounds like it. But if it's going to be for someone else, it would be a bit, probably an easier approach or softer approach, where we're so much hard on ourselves. But at the same time, I hear passion. It's like the inner drive that makes us to get up, at the morning, and to look forward to doing that one thing. And I also heard that there might be some obstacles. You never know, there might be some barriers. So, because then it will be the question, how would I be able to hold myself accountable based on those potential obstacles or barriers? But thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah. It was great. Thanks.
So I'll go next. I love what Sarah said about the passion. I think that your passion is that fuel, right? I am very proactive. I'm not afraid. I mean, having worked in the hospitality industry for many years, I've worked in 4 industries, even the funeral industry. So for me, a problem is never a problem. It's a situation that we need to solve. Some people think, oh, it's a problem because I don't know what to do about it. It's okay. Let's think about, what are the different options that we have, and then we'll come up with together with a solution. But I don't like to point out ever like whose fault, or I don't use negative vocabulary. It doesn't work. It doesn't add any value, right? So I will be always like, we don't have a problem. We have a situation that you have never encountered before. Maybe I have, so I know what to do, but I'm not going to tell the person the answers. Like, okay, what would you do? And I try to help the person so they grow. I also, for me, if I make a mistake, if I forget something, I will be the first one saying, hey, apologies, or I will be very upfront, because I need the people from the team to do the same. I don't like people like hiding or being afraid. No one is perfect, and I'm always honest and transparent about whatever. I also like to accept criticism. So it's easy to say, but the way it works for me is I just don't just say that. I will, especially when I meet someone for the first time, and the conversation goes in that direction, I will sooner or later say something like, yeah, like I'm not perfect, and if there is something that you rather I do in a different way, or if I ever speak to you, whatever, just let me know, because I love constructive criticism, and I think that when you provide it that way, from empathy, and it is very helpful, because then people are more transparent, and if in front of me someone says something inappropriate, I will find, is it something I have to say something now in a very nice way, or do I have to say that to the person like individually? So they're different things, but definitely, speaking up and just showing up, so people know that they can count on me as well, right? So that would summarize a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Susanna. You also mentioned that it's important for me so other people can count on me. It's just me counting on myself. Definitely, that is something that it's a value, but you also share two set of the value set that you have, honesty and transparency, and those are the main drives for you in order to hold yourself accountable. But on top of that, you want other people to see, hey, I'm accountable. So that is very important. That's why I think when Maxine was talking about the perspective of leadership, what is it, our perspective? It's very important that what image we're putting out there and how people can hold, not just necessarily hold us accountable, but see us accountable. That, hey, I am trustworthy, I'm capable of doing what I need to do, and what I promise, at any expectations need to be done, I'm there to make it fully, I will hold myself accountable to do it. But thank you so much for pointing that out as well. What about you, Jamila? How's it for you? It was Jamila, right?
Yeah, Jamila.
Oh, okay, great. So I thought maybe.
Muted. Yeah, she was muted.
Sorry about that. What did you say?
No, I was just asking, what are your thoughts about this?
No, I missed it because I was reading something. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's okay. We were talking about how do you hold yourself accountable in hard times?
Hold myself accountable. Well, I try to have a mentor to go over with me. I think when I have things like time management, so when I know I have to get something done by a certain time, I calendar and stuff like that. So that really helps me out with things.
Okay, that's good. So you get a external help and support, like a mentor,
Mhm.
and also time management helps that.
Mhm.
As every one of us, we were talking about, prioritizing. Anita mentioned, and of course Sarah mentioned that. I'm not going to be too hard on myself, but still, if something are not meant to be done that day, it's okay. It's not end of the world. And of course, Suzanne mentioned that on top of that, it's very important for me so people can see me accountable. And for you, it's all about mentoring. That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's good.
Thank you.
I see Tahmina, right? Hi.
Hi, I'm sorry I'm late. I had to take my kids to the dentist and it's been a full day already and it's only 8:30
Oh, yeah. Oh, so it
Yeah.
sounds like you're in Pacific time zone too.
That's right. Yes, I'm in Seattle, Washington.
Oh, our neighbor. I'm in Vancouver, Canada. So
Oh,
we're
wow.
neighbors.
Okay, I'll have to come and visit you.
Yes. So do you maybe want to talk? So we're talking about Maxine is the host of today's session, and I'm here to help and support, to facilitate as a part of this journey that we have today. So do you want to introduce yourself maybe? Everyone.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, so sorry I'm late, everyone. My name is Tamina Watson. I am an immigration attorney in Seattle, Washington. My practice is based on business immigration. So I help businesses with visas for their employees or visas for the owners. I do a lot of advocacy in our community as well. I've written several books. I was very grateful that Global Chambers just hosted an author event last week, and that was fun. And I love all issues women. I'm a very big proponent of women taking time for themselves and finding some balance so that they can be the best person that they can be for everybody around them. And I have 2 kids, 13 and 11, both in middle school. So I'm entering a new era where I'm no longer a parent of an elementary schooler, and juggling all the things that life brings to us. My firm is, I own my firm. It's small. I have 4 or 5 employees, and my clients are small to medium businesses.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. So our topic was on accountability. Do you want to share something? Do you have, since, you know, you just dropped it in and we're making the best out of it?
Accountability, you know, it's so hard when you're pulled in different directions. You start a task, you think you've sent that email, you're waiting for a response, and 5 days later you see that email still sitting in your draft. I think it's a challenge, but I have villages. At my office, my team picks me up wherever I am failing. Everybody has permission to nag me over and over again without feeling guilty. At home, my husband is incredible. He picks up a lot of my slack. I write a lot, although I haven't written since July this year because I was incessantly meeting deadlines over the last 3 years. For me, my accountability for writing is often the deadlines that I'm faced with, but also the people around me that support me. Editors are waiting for the next part. You know, different people in different projects are waiting on me. So that makes me move forward. And on my advocacy, I do a lot in the community because immigration is a huge issue for vulnerable people who need legal representation. And so I'm driven by the needs of the community. I often say that I feel like a public servant without a public office. What's the next need and how do I meet it? And so I think accountability is something that is, you know, we have to be driven within. And I think that drive keeps us going, and no matter what that project is. But I will think about it more and write about it so I can have a better answer for people next time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that ongoing thought processing. I love that. Thank you. So for me to wrap up this part and then to hand in to dear Maxine is that based on my research and based on my experience, like doing corporate organizational development for the past, I would say like almost 19, 20 years, I came across 5 enablers for any individual, woman, non-woman, you know, as an individual. Working and non-working doesn't make any difference. It's just depending on what situation they are in. The 5 enablers are that we really necessarily have to have is self-mastery skills, which of course each enabler has 5 specific behavior indicators. So you would know what is self-mastery, which some of you mentioned actually about, you know, taking care of myself, self-awareness, probably that emotional mastery, the limiting beliefs, the negative thoughts that, hey, you won't do it or you won't be able to do it. The self-criticism that sometimes we have if we miss out the deadline, as, you know, some of you mentioned kindly. But after self-mastery, it's the smarter leadership, because I realized being smart, it's not good enough these days. You need to be smarter. And of course, I've identified and defined the definition, what is smart leadership. And that is all about you having that strategical thinking, critical problem solving, and situational leadership. I love what I think was Jamila mentioned, and somehow Anita as well, prioritizing a part of time management and how to have that cohesiveness. So what are those? How, if I'm the actual leader in a company or even a mom in a family, how would I be able to delegate and get some help and support? Which it sounds like Tamina is getting some help and support from the husband, probably not from the kids, but maybe in the near future, we need to. But it comes along with collaboration and dynamic. So how would I be able to create that dynamic? And coaching, my passion, definitely the 4th one is going to be the coaching mindset. It's all about partnership. And I really love how I think Suzanne mentioned about honesty and transparency. We need to know how to demonstrate ethics and what is it for us in order to create an accountable, you know, environment. And last but not least, it's agility. So how can I be more agile? What is the definition of that for me? To have that timely manner perspective, to make decisions, that time is also important as a part of it. and not necessarily be productive and stressful, but be productive and healthy. So this was based on my research, and I just wanted to share that. So those 5 enablers wouldn't be such a bad idea from now on, to see how much of it we have, how much of it we need to have more of, or sometimes even less of. Like, it's too much of that, so I need to be able to balance it. But that was amazing talk. Thank you. Thank you. Let's
Okay,
I will
thanks
hand
a
it
lot,
to
Dr.
Maxine.
Delva. Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks a
that.
lot for
Thanks.
that. And for me, my accountability is really feelings driven. How I feel about something is what determines how I show up. How I feel about something determines my alacrity or my, the enthusiasm that I have to get it done. So whenever it is that I'm not delivering something, that's the question I ask myself. What am I really feeling about this? And very often when I don't feel the engagement personally, or when I don't think that the outcome will really make sense, so I'm doing something just for the sake of doing it, that's when I know that I'm totally out of alignment. And this task or this group of people was showing up in this way, or working even with a client, it tells me a lot, because it's not, it's not procrastination, it's that it's not aligned to me. So I use that alignment and that sense of self and showing up in terms of how I want to show up to really determine what I'm going to be accountable for, what I'm going to be present for. And so there was something that both Tamina and Jamila sort of shared around the second shift phenomena. Usually women, they go to the office, they have a whole complete day. And when they return to their homes, their places of residence, they pick up another shift. And this has been called the second shift, because, we work a full day. And when we come home, moms, wives, women, person in the house, once you're cohabitating with other people, you see about food, you see about cleaning, you see about certain things. There is an expectation. And today I would love to hear how people have been able to manage that expectation around the second shift when you get home and you have all of these things to do. What strategies have you put in place to sort of manage that function and limit the effects on your ability to deliver and to be accountable, whether to yourself or to your clients? Anybody wants to share? Yeah, go ahead, Jamila.
Yes, so one of the things I did was I bought it was like a weekly calendar you could put right on your refrigerator. So I try to put stuff on there when I want to do it, but based on like client calls, like I have to stop doing something and I'm like, oh, I'll have to push it another day. So it's something I put on so I can make sure it gets done, but it does change based on if I have to stop to do something for business. So I just try to fluctuate it with that, because of course it's just not enough time in the day.
Yeah, thank you. And Jamila, one of the things that has been coming through for your presentations is really that the importance of time management for you, and this calendar around the accountability and knowing that you will juggle stuff and it's okay. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. Anybody else wants to share what strategies they put in place?
I have 2 children. My son, the youngest, he's 19 and a half years old. And my daughter, she's 21 and a half. I got divorced I lost track, maybe 15, 16, seriously, 15, 16 years ago. So they were very, very young. And I'm from I'm on my own. Basically, my ex-husband is a person that has never taken care of them, just left the country and so on. So I've always raised them on my own, without parents-in-law, on my own. I have traveled to different cities. They have always come with me. I don't know how many schools, but we have always come together, understanding that we are a team. So in the end, a house is like a small business. So I'm like, the leader, and you guys are like, so obviously everyone at home needs to help depending of how old and their capabilities. So initially, unfortunately for my daughter, who is also a girl, she was the first one, being like a second mom. But then soon enough, we had conversations like, I need your help. And so you're going to be doing this, you're going to be doing that. So the thing is, when I look back now, I am so proud of my children. It has been very hard. I'm not going to tell you that they were sharing no, I mean, they're children and I couldn't expect more. But it is true that years have gone by and they are not mature, too mature, very mature young people. Or I feel like I have like two youngsters, I live with two young people, and they are now, the most important always was the values. I obviously values are, when we take decisions, when we do or don't do something, is because of our values, right? So that's something that I always put a lot more emphasis than anything else, transparency, integrity, and cooperation, empathy as well. It is easier for some of us. It's maybe not so easy for my son. He always said, I'm not as empathic as you are, but he's learned to be empathic enough. And yeah, you can do many things like calendar and everything, but there is a lot of just like sitting down and having a conversation about, today, this is how it went. I'm very exhausted and I was expecting this and that and it didn't happen. So why don't we start over tomorrow? A lot of patience, a lot of unconditional love, but it paid off, and today when I look back, I'm like very proud of these two. They're also very entrepreneurial like me. My son is already starting up like a business while he's studying. My daughter too, she's like, oh, this is the last year I work for someone else. She's doing performing arts. So, but yeah, it would help like Jermel's trying to, okay, you're going to be in charge of this and that. Sometimes it would work and sometimes it wasn't smooth. So a lot of patience and starting over, because otherwise you like burn out. So the reason why I leave companies and I started up my own consultancy in 2017, so I have not have a boss since then, is because I was working for other people, men and women, who didn't have values, who didn't respect me. So I didn't want that at home and I didn't want that in my professional life. So it is difficult. It is very difficult. In the end, I was doing most of the work at home, but then there was a moment that maybe my son could do some shopping or grocery shopping, and little by little, it was like as they were growing up, giving them a bit more responsibilities. That also made me feel better. I made them understand if I work too much, I almost feel like a servant, and it's not pleasant. So I also wanted them to understand how I was feeling emotionally, so they would help. And it, in the end, now I'm saying, okay, good. I'm glad I'm here. I don't want to go back.
Yeah, and it sounds, Susanna, like, very deliberate experimentation with a model that will work for your family. Maybe something that you didn't see, but really, going back to what is my value system here? Because the word values, you use it a few times, and then going back to this idea of the transparency and building the communication so that the transparency is built. Everybody has a part. This is who I am. And, very often in our leadership, it's difficult to be vulnerable. And there you are sharing your vulnerability and saying, it's not easy for me, being very, very clear and transparent. I mean, that's like that makes my paws raise, congratulations. And Anita, we see your hand up, and thank you for sharing that story, Susanna.
Let me just say, first of all, Susanna, I don't know if you realize like truly the level of brilliance that you raise your kids with, because the fact that you have a 19-year-old son that can say to you, I don't have your level of empathy, means that he has a level of awareness, because you've instilled into him, like he has a self-awareness, and that doesn't come from nowhere. That comes from somebody enabling him to be aware of that and say, okay, I'm not quite like you. And I recognize that. Like, to verbalize that, I was astounded. That's like impresionante. So just want to say that. I don't have kids. When I was married for 21 years, we divided things up because we were in school. It was his undergrad, then my graduate school, and then living like two people who just got out of school. So it was a good time actually, because we'd pick up the slack. We were a very good partnership, and we had the liberty to do things because we didn't have kids. So I think it's amazing listening to other people. I watched my sister raise her kids, and takes a village. It really does. I was part of that village, so I was very happy. It's probably one of the few people in the world whose brother-in-law was always happy to see his sister-in-law, because if we came for the weekend, it meant that the girls weren't going to wake him up. They're going to wake us up. And as soon as they could read an analog clock, we taught them that, the little hand has to be at least on the 7 and the big hand on the 12 before you can wake us up. So they'd come in and stare at us like we could feel them. We were actually awake. We knew they were there, but the minute the clock hit 7, they're like, "Steve, blah, blah, blah." So I was part of a village. And other than that, I'm just in awe of how other people have managed to balance everything, because it's absolutely double duty, sometimes triple duty if you have elder people that you're caring for. And I do have a lot of that. So but I have a little bit more flexibility with that.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that experience, Anita. And what's really clear is that with your second shift, it was a shared responsibility, that your partner really was there with you, walking that road and sharing responsibility. And I love the fact that you were part of somebody's village, really giving support, to your in-laws and your sister, actually. So that was really cool. Thank you for sharing. And it's so important, I think, for sometimes us who are the villagers, because I don't have kids as well, but all of my sisters have kids. And so really, I'm really a part of many villages, just supporting friends, understanding, what women go through and really being there for them as part of that work. So thanks for sharing that. Sarah, do you have anything to add that you want to add? And then we could go to Tamina.
Yeah, I say I'm similar boat. I don't have kids, but I'm definitely in a very well tight-knit community here. In the neighborhood that I live in, for sure, and within my friends and family. I'd say my husband and I, we definitely, balance out the share of, the tasks at home and everything, but he is a much better cook than I am. So he takes on that responsibility more than myself. So that works well for me. So a little bit different there.
Yeah, thanks for that. And so you join with Anita in terms of, you have a partner who shares with you in terms of those household chores, and you join with Anita and I in terms of we're the village, right? We're the village.
Definitely.
Thank you. And Tamina, do you want to share anything?
I'm so happy to learn from all of you, because I think hearing each other's stories gives us ideas. For me, I come back to my villages. I actually do call them villages, because there are just so many responsibilities in one given day, and it depends on what hat you're wearing at that given moment. But at my home, my husband truly is my rock. We have 2 kids who are now doing so many different types of activities that we have to divide and conquer. Thursday, for example, we really had to look at the calendar and chit chat with, like, who's taking who where, how much time do you have? So those discussions happen. So that division is important. I think one of the things that I've realized is the dishes can wait for tomorrow. I've relaxed on that front, where I know I can't do everything, and which ones I can let go and which ones can't be let go. So I'm frantically cleaning before a guest arrives. But on the work front, I'm in immigration law, which requires a lot of deadlines. And if I miss a deadline, I'm hurting somebody's livelihood or some other important person from coming to the US. So my team, we constantly prioritize what is the thing that we can do now, and how do we keep things moving. There are some things we can't take step 3 until step 1 is done, and the client hasn't given everything, we can't even do step 1. So we have to keep looking at what are the things we can keep moving. I'm traveling for about 2 weeks, end of October, and I'm looking at my calendar for that period, saying, what are we going to be filing before and after, and what do we do now? So prioritizing, reviewing what needs to be done constantly, and keep in your team is important, and you have to continue to be the team leader. So that you are, managing so-called projects, whatever that project might be. So villages for every single thing is incredibly important for me. And then love. I mean, I became a bird photographer during COVID, and I had an out-of-town guest that I took to see birds with me. I just took them to the beach and said, this is where, and I took my camera, and this is my happy zone. And I took her for an hour I felt bad afterwards because I lost myself, and I spent like 3 hours out of it, like, just one day. But that time that you have for yourself and whatever brings you joy is incredibly important, to keep that joy at the forefront of your wellness so that you can continue to be that high powered person that you need to be for everybody else. So I just started a new blog, and it's called Chasing Joy, so I can write about my bird photography activities. There's so much drama in nature that you don't even see if you walk past it. I went to, the kids went to some Disney or somewhere, and I had taken my camera with me, and I saw these two little sparrows in the tree feeding each other, and I lost all so these little things that bring you joy are just so important to keep you whole so that you can do these difficult tasks that are so challenging.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And, going back to your first presentation when you entered the room was all about villages, and we're ending with villages. And that's so significant. Really, that sense of, creating that village within your home, like what Susanna did, what Jamila shared is also to it, that having that mentor when she was speaking about the accountability, having that timetable, and back to the prioritization of activities. I really appreciate the introduction of the word joy. And because I'm thinking that what's the reason for us doing this, getting the support with the second shift. A lot of women really have carving time. The self-care and for some people, they can't remember because there's just so much coming at them. Dr. Delba, before we move to close, do you want to share anything on this question around managing that second shift phenomena and strategies that you could put in place before we move to close?
I think everyone said more than enough. That was amazing how we are all balancing, I would say, home and life. I mean, the work and life in general, not necessarily home, but it's life. As Tamina was saying, it's just not home, but it's life in general. I think one other last thing that I would add on top of everything is when I ask this question every single time, which is so much related with what Tamina mentioned about the joy, I would say, when was the last time I appreciated myself because of me, because I'm a part of a family, I'm a part of a community, I'm part of a business. Because sometimes we tend to forget about ourselves and give enough outside and serve, as some of us mentioned, either to a partner, to a loved one, to kids. And we forget about where we want to stand and what is it that it's valuable for us. So that will hold us, standing up for the next couple of probably, hopefully, years. And this is one thing that I would add on, that's how do I appreciate myself and in what ways, so I can be there at least for me and plus for others. Thank you. That was amazing, Maxine. Thank you for this opportunity. That was amazing.
Thank you. I think that's the beauty of it, that in our leadership, we don't forget ourselves. So a few of us are familiar with the emotional intelligence wheel, and the first part of the wheel is self-awareness, then self-management. So we want to be aware of ourselves. We want to celebrate ourselves. We want to appreciate ourselves. And I think that's a good way for us to close today, with each person saying and sharing, what do you appreciate about yourself?
I'll go first. Everything. I mean, I've been doing this work from a few months since April or something on my birthday. I was like, what, Susanna, there are some things that you need to change. You need to prioritize yourself. So I actually had a chat with my children. I said, guys, I love you the same. I'm going to be doing the same, but I'm going to be really, I need to prioritize myself, my health, my well-being. So I started to meditate every morning, every evening. A lot of self-love. There is this Spanish psychologist that I really like, and she wrote a book called Auto Amor, or Self-Love. And it is a lot about valuing you, loving you just the way you are. And every morning I wake up seriously happy, and I look at myself. I am my best friend. It's like something that I didn't do before, something that definitely didn't say my mom or my grandmother. But it's something I'm also, teaching my children, and also my coachees, the importance of, that voice we have. What are you telling yourself? So I don't criticize myself anymore. I mean, I don't. And I'm so much happier and in a better mood. I sleep better because I'm like, so that's something that I do daily now, and I smile a lot. I'm happier, and I'm the same. I haven't changed. I have just like more introspective, and if I get a little bit anxious, I will just stop, breathe. The breathing technique. That's a great tool. I cannot tell my heart to bump slower or my digestion to do it faster or slower, but I can use my own breathing to relax and slow down a little bit and appreciate myself. And yeah, and I think that we all should do it like daily. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm appreciating your intentional and deliberate self-love and self-care. Thanks for sharing that with us. Anyone else wants to share?
Repeat the question again, because I was so wrapped up in what Susanna was saying. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, what about yourself are you appreciating?
So I appreciate the fact that I care so much about things, because it's what makes it impossible sometimes to get things done, because I stop and do something else. It's what caused me to rescue like 14 cats, and just I'm stopped by things that I feel are important. And it complicates my days, it complicates my life. But it is who I am. So I have come to say, well, it's what makes me me. And I had this little lema, a little like saying I came up with for myself when I rescued my last bunch of 3 cats, and they all needed meds. Like literally, it was like my entire day was meds because they were on different schedules. I just said to myself, there isn't anything I can't do for 2 weeks. And once I just said, yeah, I got this, I can do it, it's only for 2 weeks, then it just like all of a sudden I could get it done. It was no longer an impediment. It was just like, it was a goal. Like, okay, 1 down, 3 more to go. Just perspective changed.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're appreciating your ability to care and leading from that care how the magic happens. Yeah, thank you, Anita. Anyone else wants to share what they're appreciating about themselves? Jamila. Okay, Tasmin, yeah, go ahead. Tamina, go ahead, Tamina.
I love the word magic that you just mentioned. In the last 2 weeks, I have used the word magic so many times, but I'm in my late 40s. It's not a word that I've typically used. But I think one of the things that I'm realizing is that I'm seeing beauty everywhere around me, and I'm seeing it, noticing it, understanding it, appreciating it. And just now, when I was driving the kids back, the leaves are turning from green to red. And I've taken notice of it. So I think one of the things that I'm appreciating about myself is I'm learning to be more present. And I think that is bringing magic into my life.
Yeah, thank you so much. We can put our stuff into the chat. If you want to stay on, you can, but I do want to recognize it's at the top of the hour for people who have other commitments and your time management. We spoke about that a lot today. And if you can stay to share what you're appreciating about yourself, you can also do so. So definitely the beauty, right, Tamina? That's what I'm hearing coming out from you, the beauty of it all. So thank you for sharing that. Susanna, Sarah, or Jamila, either of you want to share?
I just wanted to say bye. Would that be okay, Maxine? Sorry,
Yes.
I just want to say bye. I need to take my daughter.
What you are appreciating about yourself.
Thank you so much. It was amazing, and hope to see you soon, very soon. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
So let's see if we get, okay, Jamil, and then we'll get Sarah, and then we'll say goodbye.
Yes. So what I appreciate about myself is my desire to keep going. Like been coming into this industry. Before I used to do airport security for like close to 10 years. So when I came in as a temp, I kind of got discouraged a couple of times, but I kept going, and then eventually started my business. So, and even now it's still like rough sometimes growing the business. And sometimes I want to be like, oh, I could just give it up and just work for someone else. But I still keep going because I'm like, I just feel like if I keep pushing, things are going to pick up.
Yeah, I'm hearing the resilience and the determination. So congratulations. And what I, yeah, thank you. So Dr. Delba left, Sarah also left. So I appreciate, what do I appreciate about myself? I think that I'm okay with change. Yeah, I'm very much okay with change. I welcome change. I'm not afraid of it. Yeah, some question marks around why am I so comfortable with it, but I appreciate my ability to change, change careers, change lanes, change countries, you name it, I'm okay with it. And I really want to thank everybody for coming into the space today and accepting the challenge to co-create this experience. We're all experts. We all have years of experience that we can build on and really share with each other. Walking away with, I'm walking away with the idea of saving pets and caring for people and really being part of a village, not necessarily being, having kids, but being part of a village and really recognizing people's needs for that. Walking away with a model of this is what is possible for parents, what it looks like. That whole idea that what we do in our personal life really transfers into our business life, leading from our values, our transparency. That as women, yes, we know that we have challenges. And as women, it seems that we are still able to succeed, to bring to bear who we really are, grounded in ourselves, grounded in our way of being, and bring that into our leadership. Whether we're leading a team of people, whether we're leading our own business, we're leading at a community level, being part of many villages, and whether it is we're leading from behind, sort of working one-on-one with people. So I want to thank everybody so much for sharing your rich inner world with us today, and how exciting was that. So thank you very, very much.
Well, thank you, Maxine, for organizing and leading this chat. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome, Susanna.
It's a great way to start the day.
Good. So let's join each other on LinkedIn and let's stay connected. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye, guys. Adios.
Adios.